Good morning. So today we are going to understand React from fundamentals. Okay, not just how to write code, but also how React works internally. That also we are going to understand. Okay, so today we are going to understand about what is React and single page applications versus multi-page applications, DOM, virtual DOM, reconciliation, time permits. We'll also see JSX, Babel, component architecture, and props. So all these topics we'll cover today. Okay, so what is React? First of all, it is not a framework. So React is a library. So React is called as a library. It is a JavaScript library which is used to build user interface. So what is React definition? How you have to say, like, it is a JavaScript library used to build user interface. Okay, so who has developed this? This has been developed by Facebook, and it is a library, not a framework. A very important point, it's a library. Okay, it handles only the view part, not, it doesn't handle any of your database, backend, or server part. Okay, now why React was created? Let's see why React was created. Let me write an example. H1 id equal to title. So how I have to write in normal JavaScript, how I'll write script, I'll write, right? Document.get element by ID, right? So it's hard if I have to write what I'm doing here, getting element by ID and changing the inner text of this ID, right? So if I have to write this much of code for larger applications, too many DOM updations will happen, right? So performance issue may also occur. So React will solve this by using declarative program. What we'll call it as declarative program. So let me now, if I have to write in React, how I'll write? We'll come back to that. So next, let's see about single page application versus multi-page application. Okay. So in single page application, so multi-page application, new HTML file. In multi-page applications, what it will see, if we are seeing older websites, what it happens, if we are changing from one page to another page, then full page refresh will happen, right? So entirely new HTML file will be loaded, so performance will affect here. So in React, what happens, it's called as single page applications. If here it has to load only one HTML file, and that I'll explain which is that HTML file. Generally it is app.jsx, right? And all the content, it will updates dynamically. So complete full reload of page is not needed, only content change is needed, and it uses virtual DOM. Let's see what is real DOM and what is virtual DOM. So what is DOM? It's actually document object model, we'll call it as DOM. Browser converts this HTML into something like tree-like structure. Let's say an example, basic example. Let's take div h1. This is the basic div tag which I have written. So browser, what it will create, it create a node for h1 tag, right? And updating DOM is expensive compared to if I have to update DOM, everything I have to update, right? It is like a time taking process. So virtual DOM, what it happens, it's a very lightweight DOM. So first what it will do, whenever we are changing that only that new virtual DOM is created. So it compares with the older virtual DOM and updates only the changed parts. So this process of updating the whichever we are changing, right? So that process we'll call it as reconciliation. So this is what we'll call it as virtual DOM. So let's get into the project actually. Let's get into, so these are very basics. So what is React, and is React is a single page application or multi-page application? It's a single page application. And what is DOM and what is virtual DOM? Now let's create one. So, terminal. Okay. Let me get into C. Now let me create npx create React app, and let me name it as React master. So it will create it. It takes some time. Let's wait for some time. Let it create all the packages, whatever is required. So guys, it takes a little time, no problem. So you understood what is React, right? React, it is a JavaScript library used to build user interfaces. And is React is a single page application or multi-page application? It's a single page application. So what is DOM and what is virtual DOM and what is reconciliation algorithm we discussed, right? So whenever there is a change in the, so say example you have clicked a button or something, then what happens, instead of updating entire DOM, what it will do in virtual DOM, it create a virtual memory, it stores. So whenever you are changing something like clicking a button or anything, then it compares this, the new change with the older change. Then it updates only whatever the change you have done. So this is what the difference between virtual DOM and real DOM. So as there is a virtual DOM concept in React, it acts as like a faster compared to other programming languages. So this algorithm of diffing algorithm, we'll call it as diffing algorithm, comparing the changes in the virtual DOM, we'll call it as reconciliation algorithm. Okay. Now let's start how to create the project. We are seeing npx create React app and your project name. Here my project name is React-master. Okay, it takes a couple of minutes. Let's wait, let it complete the installation process, let it complete. Then we are going to see about the JSX Babel, and then we'll see what is a component, what is props, state, and etc. Okay, so what is it? It has been created, right? What we have done now, npx create React app, React class has been created. So let's open that folder. See, React master, right? Okay. So this is the what which we have created now. Now let's get into, let me open the terminal. I'll open now cd react master, right? Okay. Spacing react master. Okay. Okay, we are already in cd react master only, right? Okay, now we'll run npm start. So here if you are seeing, we have folders like public folder, src folder, and inside src we also have, okay, let me this, inside src we have app.js, right? App.css and index.js file. So let me open this app.js file and index.js file. Yes. So now in index.js file, so index.js is the first entry point for your React project. So it renders app component into root div. So this is what the first, where our project, whenever we are creating project, React enters into this file index.js. So here it renders app component into div called as root here, right? So here the flow will come. Next, let me open open.js. So here we are writing app component, right? So here we can change the code whatever it is required. I'll show you. So welcome to the world. Okay, let me run this. So this is what the page is looking like. Now let's understand about JSX. Okay, so let me write JSX is not actually, let me modify this. H1 hello react, let me write like this. So see, is this is a HTML element? Is this is a HTML? No, because we are writing in JavaScript, right? So HTML writing within JavaScript, we will call it as JSX, JavaScript XML. This is not a pure HTML. So whenever we are writing like this, browser doesn't understand what is this. So what it will do, there is a thing called as library called as Babel. So this Babel, what it will do, it converts this line into something like this. H1 null hello, right? Like this it will convert. So Babel, what is it's called as a JavaScript compiler. It is a JS compiler. What it do? It converts JSX into JavaScript. So browser does not understand JSX. So then what we will do? Babel converts it before browser runs it. So how JSX becomes JavaScript? So how we are writing here, h1 tag hello react, then it is converted into react dot create element h1 tag null, like this, right? So why JSX is powerful, we'll see. Because you can embed JSX into something like this, right? Here we can embed this code inside here. So in this JSX we have certain rules. So let's see what are the JSX rules. We should have only one parent element and use class name. Whenever, how we are writing div, generally div class will write, right? So but here we have to write div class name. Use class name instead of class. And also we should use curly braces only and self closing tags. These are the 4 rules. In depth we will learn in later classes, right? So now we'll create, what do you mean by components? We'll explain the components. Babel is create, right? Babel, what it will do, it converts our HTML tag in a more clear form where the browser will understand. So JSX we can call it as sugary syntax, because this syntax is easy to remember, right, instead of older one. So we'll call JSX as a sugary syntax, very easier to remember. Now we'll learn about component structure. What is a component? Okay, what is a component generally? See what is this one? How many lines? If I have to write login here, I have to create login component code here only. Register means I have to write register related code here only. So if consider we have a big application where all code, if I have to write in a single file, then code becomes very messy, right? So we'll use the component based architecture. So components are nothing but we have to create a different files for different things. Say for example login is there, registration is there, we can create different files and we can reuse the existing code. If we are writing some code in one file, we need not to write in another component. Instead we can reuse the existing code. That is called as component. So let me create a component folder for you. This is called as components. Okay, let me create header.js file. So let's take header as one component. Okay. React from React. Now let me create a header component. So what I'll do, return. Okay, what I'll write here. Okay, dashboard header. I'll create as dashboard header. This is my header file. So now what I'll do, this header file I'll call in app.js. So let me remove all this. Now let me write this as main component. Here I'll call data header. Okay, so first I have to import your header file. Import header from components header. So here I'll call the header. So I need not to write every time about the header related code. I just can create a component called as header.js and I can call wherever it is required, right? So what I have missed here, I have not exported. So when I'm importing here, I have to export in this file, right? So export. Okay. This is so component function returning JSX. So here component name must always start with capital letter. This is important. So now let's run and check. So dashboard header main component, right? Main component. So this is what the component. So like this header, we can create different components like sidebar component, footer component. We create a code and we will reuse wherever it is necessary. Here I need not to write again header component code here, right? So wherever it is necessary, we are calling here. So code makes not messy. It's simple looking, right? So this is what the component architecture, why we are using component. Now let's go into props. Okay, what is props and how we are using. Okay, now components you have understood, right? Now we'll get into props. So what is prop architecture and why we require props? Okay, props are generally like we are used to pass data from parent component to child component. So from one component to another component, if we want to pass any data, then we'll use the props. Generally it will go from parent to child only. So props are like read only. Say for example, if we have any data from parent component and passing to child component, we should not modify that in the child component. So these are like read-only components. Say, let's explain with example. In components, let me create a file called as user.js. Create a function name is user. Okay, here let me write the props, what the props are. Now return development. So h2 tag, say I have name, so what I have to call props.name. Okay, this one is h2 tag, and I'll keep this in p tag. Say I have a role. Okay, props.role, these are my props. So let me export here. So here what is the user.js? This is a child component. Okay, now we'll see in the parent component what we have to do. So use the child component inside your parent component. Okay, what user components user. Okay, now how we'll use this in the parent component, let's see. Let me comment this example we have used for to explain the component architecture, right? Now, okay, this is parent component. App.jsx is parent component, right? Child component is js.jx. Now username equal to, what are the parameters we have written here? Props, name and role. So here also same, name, role. Role is front-end developer. Same way we'll write another user, Ravi, as a backend developer. Okay, now let's see what it is happening. Can you see what is coming here? Okay, let me run a new tab. It's not clearly visible, right? Name John, role is front-end developer, name is Ravi, role is backend developer. So here app is a parent component. It sends the data using attributes. What are the attributes here? So here attributes are name and role. Okay, it sends the related data using the attributes, and in the child component we'll receive this name and role, whatever the data passing from parent component we are receiving in the child components, right? So this is what we'll call it as props. Props are like, generally whenever we want to pass the data from parent component to child component, then we use the props. Here in child component we cannot modify these attributes values here. Okay, this is very important. When we have to use these props, whenever if we want to pass the data from parent to child, very important, and making component should be reusable. Example, like if you want to pass like title or button text, API response, then we'll use these props. And very important is never change the value in the child component. Okay, so this is very much important. So what are props? These are read only. How you have to answer in an interview or if someone is asking, these are read only data passed from parent component to child component. So they allow dynamic and reusable components. Clear?